Hello everyone, Rae here, welcome back. A story coming out of Australia that I'm going to share with you very quickly and then give my thoughts on it. It says 22 African Americans were granted citizenship in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is in Western Africa after they traced their roots back to this country through a DNA analysis. So President Julius, who is the leader of this country, argued these African Americans to take advantages of the opportunities in their ancestral homes as he granted them passports as new citizens at a ceremony they held in their state house, which is in Freetown, which is the capital city of Sierra Leone. So the president went on ahead to say that Sierra Leone has come a long way from slavery and colonialism and is trying to restore dignity and also open it up to the rest of the world. So I'm going to quote his words. He said, "This is the land of our mutual ancestors who were later taken to work on rice fields and plantations that sustained economies of the 13 British colonies in the Americas." The report also said that majority of the new citizens or of these African Americans who are granted citizenship traced their roots to the southern Bo and the northern Tonkolili districts. Hollywood actor Isaiah Washington was the first African American to be granted citizenship by an African country after he traced his roots in a DNA analysis back to Sierra Leone. That was in 2008. So I would like to share my thoughts on this story because I realize these African Americans got citizenship because they traced their roots first. They did not come normally. They had to first prove themselves that, you know, maybe we are, I don't know, 50% Sierra Leone and then another percentage of whatever country and then get their citizenship. So I have had a few conversations with a few friends who are African Americans, and one of their concerns when they want to return to Africa is how long will it take to get my citizenship, maybe which country is the best. Like, citizenship seems to be a very huge concern. But in my opinion, I always like to disagree actually, that citizenship shouldn't be a very huge concern when you want to come back to Africa. If you want to return to Africa, you shouldn't be really bothered by how long will it take me to get my citizenship. Reason being, if you look at it from a business point of view, if you look at it from the opportunities available for you, most African countries, I can, for example, speak for my own country, Uganda, you are able to get the same opportunities, business opportunities, as much as the citizen, or even better than the citizens of this country. So if you want to come, that should never be a disadvantage, especially if you're interested in to do business in some of these countries. I'm just going to highlight a few things which I think can be, you know, very interesting. One, you're going to find like a very cheap land, I believe, compared to buying land in the US or a house in the US. And when you want to buy it in Africa, in one of the countries, definitely the difference is quite huge. So it's cheaper land, you know, cheaper housing, even the costs of labor if you're trying maybe to set up a company. In addition to this, there is a lot of business opportunities, you know. Africa, or even most of these African countries, are still fresh, you know, they are not as competitive. So if you have your capital, there is a lot that you can do out here, you know, that we have not yet tapped into, that many people have not yet tapped into. So I think that's a very huge advantage, that if anyone is willing to take advantage of that, you know, Chinese are out here doing a lot in Africa because they do have the capital, they do have the money. So I think African Americans should also, you know, come and do the same, because that's an advantage that you guys have. If you get your dollars and put them in the local currency, you get more money, so your money increases way higher in value. So it's very easy for you to compete, I believe, if you find like the right, you know, business for you, depending on what you like, you know, what your passions are or interests are in whatever field. But of course, it starts by doing your research as well, you know, choosing the country that you like, depending on a number of factors, you know. In addition to that, of course, very many African countries, or even African people in general, are very welcoming, so you won't find racism. I believe there'll still be a bit of stereotype because the accents are different, some behaviors are different, just even like social behaviors. Like, you'll still face that, I'm very sure. I've seen my friends who are here that are African American, they still face that. They might even just call you like Muzungu on the street just by the way you sound, you know, just by your accent, which is not a negative thing. It's more like you're a foreigner. Even when you're like chocolate skinned, they can still call you Muzungu. Sometimes they call me Muzungu as well because I'm considered light-skinned for an African. So that will happen, like, you'll still have those challenges, you know, if you want to consider them challenges. Anyway, personally, I don't think they are. Of course, there will be a difference in culture, you know, even the behaviors of the people, things like that, you know. Those differences will still be there. But if you look at it from a business point of view, I think there is a lot that you can do here just by getting a residence permit, which is not difficult to get, I believe, for most African countries. Most of these countries, if you just have residence, you're good enough to have as many opportunities or even better opportunities than the people here, because most of us, you know, it's very challenging because we earn like very low wages. So if you want to start a business, it's quite challenging, can be very challenging. But if someone is coming from out and they have that advantage of, even if they just have their money, just by converting it to local currency, it increases way more in value. So that puts them, you know, way ahead. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, most of the systems are, I would say they are friendly, really. You know, most African countries, I can speak for Uganda, they're very open to investors, to foreigners, very, very friendly. Guys, sometimes I think they're more friendly to investors and foreigners than the local people. Like here in Uganda, you know, sometimes I think it like that. I think its systems are a little bit slower, I believe. We run at a slower pace, I believe, compared to what you're used to. So you have to come with an open mind and know, okay, things don't move as quickly, you know, people are different. If you're used to interacting with people in a certain way, it's going to be different, especially if you're into business. So there is still like a lot to learn and blending, which takes a bit of time. But I also think that opportunity is very huge, in my opinion. This is just my personal views. So if you ever want to come to Africa, not getting citizenship should never be a major point, because in my opinion, it doesn't give you anything much. Like, you can get all that you want, even just with a residence permit. Share your thoughts in the comment section and let us know what you think about this story. And check out my YouTube channel, Rae Kembabazi, my Twitter and Instagram also at Rae Kembabazi, and see you on the next story. Bye.